why you couldn't find any evidence on the ship?
Because it was destroyed. We couldn't find any evidence. It was difficult to find any evidence because it was completely destroyed, in fact.
There were no DNA traces?
No, we could not find any DNA traces because of the destruction. It was all wiped out.
Indeed. Could you tell us more about these bullets that you found in the bodies of the deceased?
I don't think that's my expertise.
Anything which made you realize that they caused harm to the victims?
It's a bullet. It will cause harm to the victims. That's all I can tell you.
Indeed. Also, are you aware of any other correspondence directly made to the accused by the government?
No.
Are you aware about the timings or which specifically were mentioned in the course of these events?
I don't specifically remember the timings.
Do you remember some of them, if I may
No.
reframe questions?
No.
Could you tell us about when the mercenaries were dispatched by the accused?
Around 8:10 a.m. on 23rd January.
And when did the government instruct the SFC to intercept the situation?
Around 7:15 or something, around that. Some 40 minutes ago, I think, something around that. I'm
Could
not
you
sure.
be a little more specific about the timing?
7:15 a.m.
Indeed. Could you tell us about the nature of instructions that was given by the government to the accused? What did they exactly tell them to do?
They were asked to assess the situation.
The designation is of Executive Investigator, National Investigative Agency of Galador.
They were asked to assess the situation, and yeah, that's about it. They were also asked to refer to the manual and follow all due procedures. They were also given an advisory intelligence that it may have armed individuals in the ship, but in all probability, it was a civilian ship.
To the witness as well, right? So you say they were asked to follow the manual, but how do you know that? What process?
This is
allows
through
you to
the.
establish that fact?
We conducted interviews with the officials at the shore, so that's how we know.
Actually, people on the ship which intercepted.
We interviewed the officials at the shore who communicated with the SFC to go assess the situation. So that's how I know about.
So it's hearsay, right?
I am not able to comment on that. I'm sorry.
I mean, why is this not pure hearsay? It's not somebody testifying.
Like you just said, it may have been a ship containing hostile forces. Am I correct?
I cannot say anything about that. They were asked to assess the situation, and yeah, that's about it.
Also, regarding the military manual that they were asked to refer, what kind of manual was it?
It's a manual on armed conflicts in sea.
Could you state the name and
I just stated the name during my chief
for the convenience of the
examinations.
council, please state it again.
International, what is it? Manual, International Manual, San Remo International Manual on conflicts in sea.
Was it issued by Galador?
I don't know. It's just a common manual that generally is followed during these situations. So it's more like the general manual that is followed.
But witness, do you have any evidence from the people on the ship that they were trained in this manual or the operation or the obligations under it?
The contingents that were sent were trained in modern day combat. And yeah, that's about it.
But there's no actual evidence that they knew or were familiar or...
I won't be able to say that. I just know they were trained in modern day warfare, and they would.
Surely as an investigator, you would know that there were training records, for example, right, of the kinds of trainings that these staff had conducted over periods of time, which surely would have given us some detail as to whether they were familiar with these obligations or not. Did you check that?
They were told they knew about the manual, and they were told to follow the manual. It's part of the training.
So you have training records.
I do not have the training records.
So pure hearsay again. You're speculating, right?
That will be all, Your Excellencies.
Council seeks permission to address. Sorry. One second.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I am Speaker 1 appearing on behalf of the defense in the present case. Due to paucity of time, if I may address the court master to show me a signal at the 4th minute. Thank you very much. Sir, could you please tell me how long have you been working for the NIA?
I've been working for around 5 years.
Okay. Who were your employers before you started working as an investigator at the NIA?
I was working for a private company.
Can you address the name?
No.
Objection, Your Honor, is irrelevant line of questioning in this case. What is the previous occupation of not to do with the current investigation?
Indeed, Your Honors, I may address another question.
What is the relevance of this question?
Your Honors, we're trying to establish that in the present case, the witness is an investigator. So we'd like to know, with respect to the previous occupation, since how long has he been working in this particular field to give an expert witness?
As an investigator,
Yes, Your Honors.
you can explore that aspect, I guess. You can explore that aspect of it.
Thank you, Your Honors. Could you please tell me how big was your investigation team in the present case?
It comprised of a lot of people, yes.
Number.
I don't think I want to divulge the number.
You do not want to divulge the number?
No, I don't.
Was SFC the only licensee employed for border security forces in the present case?
Yes, that I know of.
There were no more corporations?
I don't know any more that were involved.
But you're an investigator in the present case?
Yeah, I know about SFC being involved.
All right. Can you tell the court what attempts were made to contact the ship?
Sorry?
Can you tell the court what attempts were made to contact the ship Goliath?
The officials at the shore tried to contact them.
How?
I don't know how, but they did.
You don't know how, but they did.
Through messages and radio, etc.
Through messages and radio.
Yeah.
Isn't it correct that the Galadoran government exercises supreme control over the defense activities taking place?
Yes.
Isn't it also correct that the Galadoran government has to sponsor the means and methods for these activities? Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, then in your deposition, you mentioned that you did not find any evidence on the ship. Is that correct?
Yes.
The survivors weren't cooperating with you with your investigation. Yes or no?
Yes.
That means you were unable to prepare an exact timeline of events in this present case.
That is correct.
Therefore, you also had very limited sources of investigation.
I
Yes or
had
no?
enough sources to come to the conclusion.
You had enough sources to come to the conclusion.
Yes.
In spite of the answers previously stated by you.
Yes.
All right. Isn't it true that Mr. Chamberlain always followed the protocols laid down by the government?
I can't say.
So you're not aware about the fact that if Mr. Chamberlain followed all orders or not?
I don't know. Yes, I don't.
You just stated in your deposition that you're aware about the email communications in the present case.
Yeah, I know about the email communications, but I can't state if he always followed the orders or not.
If that is the case, then why was he congratulated by Abu Petrov in that particular email communication?
In that communication, he might have followed all the orders, but I cannot state as a fact that he always followed all the orders.
Can you please tell the court, with respect to that email communication, what was the incident that they were talking about?
The incident at Camp Rustic?
The incident at Camp Rustic.
Yes.
If Mr. Chamberlain followed orders, why was there political pressure in the present case in order to indict him?
I don't think I want to comment on that.
Indeed. Your Honor, the point to be noted here is that the investigation has been inadequate by the investigator. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
You said there was political pressure, right? So what's the evidence of
Your Honor, in the present case, Galadoran government has been trying to pin liability over the alleged accused. The investigation report is by the Galadorian government in the present case.
Yes, but surely there are other alternative explanations, right? Why would the Galadorian government be so determined to pin liability on you? Because of the close connection between you and them.
Your Honor, I understand your concern in the present case, but however, if the government has told the alleged accused to commit these acts, why would there be political pressure to indict him? Whereas, Your Honor, in the email communications, he's been told that he would be given state immunity and his operatives would also be given state immunity, which the witness clearly failed to recognize. Whereas in the chief, he recognized that he was aware about the email communications, which clearly falters the investigation made and should not be relied in the present case. And I shall be addressing that in the closing arguments.
There's a bridge too far that you're trying to get to.
Your Honor, that shall be established during the course of the trial through other witnesses, if that satisfies your question, Your Honor. All right, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Thank you, witness.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Your Honors, now the prosecution calls on prosecution witness 3 to testify in the chief examination. 3, yes. Could you please state your name, nationality, occupation, and age for the record, witness?
I'm Professor Xavier. I'm an American citizen, age 42 years. I was a former legal consultant to the Ministry of External Affairs to the government of Gallaudet.
Could you please also state your credentials?
I was a former legal consultant for the period of from 2003 to 2005 and 2010 to 2013, and I'm also associated with as a scholar in many American universities at present.
Pray witness, please give the complete narrative you're here to testify for.
When I was in the position of as a legal consultant, I witnessed there were few sparks of problematic situations brewing in the state of Perusia, such as people who are suffering from identity crisis. The local people, especially in Belltown, are suffering from identity crisis. They were not happy with the weak leadership. They were not happy with the government there. There was also grave law and order situations, and there were a lot of both Gallaudet and Perusia also share similar heritage and sentiments, and therefore. So when I immediately spotted a situation brewing, I immediately stated to the government of Gallaudet that they had to take a very precautionary approach and not be in a hurry. But there were a lot of nationalist tendencies among the people of Gallaudet and the government, and they were trying to reclaim the area of Belltown. Also, a lot of organizations from within Gallaudet and SFC were trying to infiltrate into the state of Gallaudet. Also, the government of Gallaudet gave the contract for visa application and administrative work to the private organization called SFC. As the reason for the same was that the SFC agreed to help the government of Gallaudet in pursuing their nationalist activities of reclaiming Belltown.
The witness, I'd like to highlight some certain critical points to which you have testified. You testified that the ministry ignored your advice.
Yes, they did.
You also testified that the organizations which were infiltrating were, SFC was one of those organizations. Yes. You also testified that Gallaudet had certain nationalistic aspirations of reclaiming the lost land.
Yes.
What was that lost land?
Basically, the people of Belltown share similar heritage, speak the similar language as which is the majority language in the state of Gallaudet, as being the language of Zula, which is people of Belltown also have a similar language.
Absolutely, witness that.
Once again, I'm confused here. I mean, there's no foundation, right? A lot of this is just pure speculation.
Your Honors,
what is the basis for him to make these kinds of assertions?
Your Honors, it's the credentials of the witness himself. He was a legal expert.
It's just armchair expertise, right? I mean, with all due respect.
Yes, Your Honors, but he was in legal opinions. He was giving it to the Ministry of
External Affairs. So he's got no first-hand field visit or some direct way of establishing that there was infiltration.
Your Honors, he was directly in contact with the Ministry of External Affairs since he was working with them, which is why he is privy to the communications that were being made.
But you haven't established that this is based on those communications.
Your Honors, I asked him specifically in his credentials what he did, and he stated specifically that he worked with them.
There's a difference between having credentials and making findings based on certain defined evidence that you present.
Yes, Your Honors. The prosecution intends to rely on this witness simply because he worked for the Ministry of External Affairs and he was privy to the communications in the Ministry of External Affairs, Your Honors.
Seems really weak to me.
Yes. Moving further, you also stated in your testimony, witness, that in furtherance of this nationalistic policy, SFC Corporation was given the contract.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The counsel shall like to begin with the cross-examination, if it's permitted. Good afternoon, sir. In your testimony, you stated that the situations pertaining with Gallaudet were related to the situations associated with Perusia. Can you elaborate more on this for the convenience of the court?
Yes, I shall. Basically, after the leadership in the state of Persia was weak. The people were not happy. The people of Beltown, especially, they were facing a lot of backlash from the Persian government, and and still it's a pretty new country. The democracy was still immature.
So this was an internal situation in Persia. Am I correct?
Yes.
And you also stated that you tried to advise the government about it.
Yes, I advise them to take a cautious approach.
But since this situation in Persia was internal and you advised your government about it, could we say that the government of Galador had a vested interest in Persia?
I cannot reveal the information. It was my position. It was my duty just to tell them the situation brewing in and around the area.
You've also stated in your testimony that camps were reported to have been set up on both sides of the border. Was there any Galadoran involvement in the same?
As I stated in my testimony, my information was based on reports, not first-hand information. It was based on the reports which I came across, on the basis of which I said the camps were established on both sides.
Indeed, but my question remains, was there any Galadorian involvement even according to those reports?
I do not recall any such thing in the reports.
Just to be clear, despite your alleged proximity to the government, you do not know any direct evidence which connects the government with these camps or the propaganda?
Not the total part of it, but as I said, when the situation initially when it's brewing, since I was in the Ministry of External Affairs and it was a neighboring country, I was privy to those information which I could advise the government. But the rest, as the question pointed out by the council, was totally based on reports which I came across on the basis of which.
So you don't have any direct
Yes.
Another fact stated in your testimony is about the attacks that were done on the migrants from Persia. Am I correct?
Yes.
Did the government do anything to stop those?
No, I gave my advice to them.
I'd like to interject you there and move on to the next question. Also, did the government have any covert intentions regarding the same?
I cannot reveal that, but as I stated earlier, my duty was to reveal the information to them as to what situation is going.
Was there any distillation of rumors or controversies as they were pertaining between the two entities?
Yes, again there was, but again it was all reports and rumors, and I cannot guarantee myself on the information which is there. It's all as I stated in the testimony.
Did the government have any sort of expansionist aspirations pertaining to Belltown?
Yes, they did.
They did. If the council may, it would like to bring the bench's attention to this very point, that regarding the facts that have been stated in the deposition by the witness, it can be inferred that the government of Galador indeed had an interest in the situation pertaining to Persia. Also, it was involved in the internal affairs of the other country.
Just having an interest in some other country's internal affairs. Every country in the world is guilty of that, right? I mean, potentially they have some interest in some other country or not. That doesn't make it a crime.
Indeed, Your Excellency, we'll try to substantiate this vested interest in the course of the proceedings and tell us why is this pertinent to the specific case. If I may proceed. The last question. Are you aware that SFC had a contract with the government of Galador?
Yes.
Could you say that there were some personal traits exhibited by which this contract was acquired?
I do not know the complete information. As I stated in my earlier statements, that it was basically they agreed to help the state of Galador in the expansionist activities, which is why they were given the contract.
The council would like to direct the attention of the bench to this enthusiasm showed by the SFC personnel, also the accused.
But that's clearly, again, you made that up, right? The witness did not testify saying that there was some enthusiasm.
But he did say that they were helping them in their expansionist policies.
But that's quite different from the way you characterized it.
Indeed, Your Excellency.
Because the testimony should support a claim that you're making. The testimony clearly does not.
Then the council would like to direct the attention to the fact that there was definitely some help that the accused is providing the government of Galador in their expansionist policy, if I may emphasize.
What is that help?
That shall be provided by the council in the course of the next few testimonies and in its closing arguments, if it satisfies the bench.
It's not from this testimony then. So we haven't been able to establish through this witness's testimony that some help was provided in an expansionist cause to the Galadorian government, correct?
The council understands your concern, Your Excellency. However, regarding his
No, answer
position...
yes or no. There's no testimony so far which leads to an inference that some support was provided for expansionist practices?
The witness's testimony is one of the testimonies which shows
No,
us.
I understand. From this witness, do we have such testimony?
It can be inferred that there was some connection between the accused and the government of Galador.
That's a very convoluted way of saying no,
Um,
right?
That is not what the council was trying to say. However, since the accused has said that accused has emphasized the importance of the expansionist policy. Expansionist is a very big term used in his testimony. And if the accused was helping in this expansionist policy, it definitely states something that is wrong in this situation.
But you can have expansionist intention, which of course might not yield to any action. The time. So you make sure that they're accounting for the time, right? They are.
Indeed, Your Excellency. However, the cementing of this notion shall be done by the council in the course of its arguments, and we shall prove the importance of the testimony that was just presented to the court for the same. If the bench is so pleased.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
If the bench is satisfied, that will be all from the counsel for the defendant.
Professor Xavier, could you please state to the court where have you completed your education from?
From the University of Washington.
Okay. Exactly when did you witness the first spark of unrest in Perosia?
I do not recall the exact date, but I think it was during my last leg of my term when I was serving with the...
And that is?
Around 2013.
2013. Why did the Galadorians distrust the Belltown people in the present case?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Why did the Galadorians distrust the Belltown people in the present case?
I'm not aware of such information as I stated earlier in my...
You're not aware of such information. You've mentioned it in your deposition.
Sorry?
Your deposition does mention about the distrust being harbored by the Galadorian people.
Objection, Your Honors, what record is the counsel relying on? Is she making records herself?
If I may answer to that. Mr. Prosecutor, in the deposition on the, with respect to the fact sheet.
Communications counsel, the witness is testifying before this court.
All right, Your Honors. So you refrain from answering that particular question. Indeed. You stated to the court that you weren't working within between 2007 to 2010 with the Galadorian government.
I was working with them from 2010 to 2013.
And 2005 to
2007,
2007.
yes.
2007 to 2010, why did you leave?
Again, I'm not allowed to reveal the information as it is
Okay.
between the government and myself.
Will you at least tell the court that why are the Galadorians wary of the Perosian administration?
That's again not, this comes into my area of duty. I'm just a legal consultant, and it is just my sole duty to give the state the necessary information regarding the international affairs.
All right, but you do accept to the fact that there were cases involving attacks and attempted murders of migrants.
Yes, that is again based on reports. It's not first-hand evidence which
Okay. Was the government involved in these attacks?
I cannot reveal the same.
Did you advise to the government? You'd agree to that at least.
Advice
You advised to the government
on?
on multiple occasions because
Yes,
you're
I
the
did
legal
advise.
expert.
Yes, I did advise.
Let the witness answer.
Okay.
Yes, I did advise the government
What did you advise the government?
that there was there's a law and order breakdown situation brewing, and it is the state of Galador should not be in a hurry, and they should take a cautious approach in handling if they wish to handle the situation, not to hurry up, but do it in a cautious way.
Did the government listen to you?
No.
That means the Galadorians do what serves them the best, and they do not really listen to
I
the...
cannot give my personal opinion.
Commentary, thank you.
Okay. Well, isn't it true that the Galadorians did not care about providing asylum to the Beltownies but wanted to occupy the Belltown because of their policy of reclaiming the lost land?
That is, again, it's a state matter. It's not within the purview of my duty. I can.
You would agree to the fact that SFC was employed in the present
Yes.
case? Your Honours, it is... Yes, Your Honours.
Counsel was saying, that, yeah, well, could you establish the relevance of this line of inquiry?
Your Honours, in the deposition it has been mentioned. I understand that what he states in the court is essential, but we'd like to know from this particular witness that what does he know about the SFC Corporation? Because in the previous in the previous statements by the witness counsel, he mentioned that SFC was incorporated. So we'd like to know why was SFC in particular employed by the Galadorian government?
I think the answer you'll get is that he doesn't know. We'll allow you to ask that question.
Indeed, Your Honours, then in the present case, he should not be admitted in the court if he cannot answer with respect to the Galadorian affairs. Your Honours, that concludes my questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's very hard because at the beginning, at the time, I think we didn't get a chance because we weren't clear about what the. They have to do some pausing of the time at least to give us an opportunity. In the closing meeting.
Counsel, we've been discussing in the bench to provide a little more time for the closing arguments. So instead of the 6, instead of 8, we'll make it 12 minutes. So please bear that in mind in preparing the rest of the session. So please.
Your Honours, the prosecution now calls prosecution witness 2 for the chief examination. The prosecution now calls prosecution witness 2 for the chief examination. Witness, could you please state your nationality and age for the record?
35, Indian.
What's your relation to the case?
I have worked with the accused for 15 plus years.
What's your relation with the accused?
I was working with them in SFC with the accused.
Please give the complete narrative you're here to testify to.
I have been working with him for 15 plus years, and as I know that man, he's ruthless and very ambitious. That's how he is with adversaries. He made the government of Galvador believe that his intentions are same as their governments. Reclaiming the lost land of Galvador. Once he got the contract, he incentivized inappropriate expropriation of property of the...
Is it admissible in evidence?
Your Honours, that's a part of her testimony. I am not...
Is it admissible in the evidence, rules of evidence?
Your Honours, at this
Character
point...
of the accused person.
At this point, I'm simply asking for the testimony. It's not regarding the correctness of the testimony itself.
We're not saying correctness. We're saying admissibility.
Admissibility of...
Is character of the accused person admissible in evidence?
Your Honours,